Hi, members. So you're hereby summoned to attend the monthly meeting of Business and Culture Committee. We held as a hybrid socially distanced meeting, both remotely via WebEx and physically in the council chamber in the Guildhall in Derry. Take a roll call. Alderman Morris Devaney.
Here.
Alderman Darren Guy. Okay. Alderman David Ramsey. Councillor Jason Barr. Councillor Raymond Barr. Councillor Shauna Cusack.
Here, Stephen.
Councillor Gary Donnelly.
I'm Shaw.
Councillor Rory Farrell.
Here.
Councillor Sean Harkin.
Here.
Councillor Conor Heaney.
Shaw.
Councillor Patricia Logue. Councillor Kieran Maguire. Councillor Damien Mullen. And Councillor Lillian Sino Barr. Thank you, members.
Okay, members, I'll read out the broadcasting notice. So I'd like to remind everyone present that the meeting in the Guildhall are in attendance remotely. That this meeting will be broadcast live to the internet and will be capable of repeat viewing. This broadcast may be terminated or suspended in accordance with our protocol. Due to your attendance at this meeting, you're consenting to be filmed and the use and storage of those images for broadcasting and training purposes and for the purpose of keeping historical records and making those records available to the public. Members and approved speakers are reminded to only have their mics and cameras on while speaking at the meeting and use the chat facility to highlight a request to speak. A copy of the council privacy notice may be found on the council website. Okay, that moves us on to item 4, which is the declaration of interests. Can I first declare an interest in the next item as a member of the board of Visit Derry? If anyone else wants to declare any interests, do it now or during the course of the meeting. Okay, that moves us on to the presentation by Visit Derry. So welcome, folks, and reuse.
Okay, good afternoon, Chair, Councillors and ladies and gentlemen. This afternoon we'll see a presentation from Visit Derry for myself as Chair and Odrin Dunn. So my name is Michelle Simpson and I'm Chair of Visit Derry. I've been involved in tourism and hospitality in the city for over 30 years, working and managing hotels in many different roles, including sales and marketing, and later lecturing in hospitality, tourism and business. I've had a great pleasure in watching this city flourish and develop year after year, in a city that once had 3 hotels under the umbrella of Visit Derry to now having several hotels of different types, accommodation types, restaurants, bars, activity centres, and again, all located in Derry City and Strabane District Council area. I'm very proud to be Chair of Visit Derry. We have a very small team working at Visit Derry, and our partnership with Derry City and Strabane District Council, in particular with Aiding, Jennifer and Stephen, has allowed us to work together to achieve the best we possibly can for our city and our members. We've all come through a very difficult 19 to 20 months, and our team, led by Odrin Dunn, have worked tirelessly to support our members, attending every virtual and online event and continue to market our city and district. They've been exceptional in their dedication to their role and responsibilities to Visit Derry, and this is to be applauded. The dedication to promotion of our city in these difficult times has been outstanding. They have been present at absolutely every event. We must understand that these times have been difficult, and indeed those across the feeder sectors, food, accommodation, transportation, entertainment and retail, have all had a very difficult time. The team have supported members in online marketing events, and we've seen a fabulous event in the week just past, and to pay tribute to Derry City and Strabane District Council and the team there for an absolutely fabulous Halloween event. Once again, the activities stretched to Strabane, Castlederg and Donegal, and again the occupancy levels were 95%, which is to be congratulated by everyone involved. We've seen an increase in staycation and lots of holidays at home. We've seen Visit Derry nominated for several awards, and this too is to be applauded. Our membership has continued to be renewed, and the team have members at the centre of their business. It will take time for the industry to heal, but many have survived this very difficult time, so we hope to see the return to where we have been in 2019. 2021 and 22 will be a time to market, advertise and promote our products to hopefully see a return of the corporate and international markets in 2023 and 2024. We also have seen an increase in new membership, and indeed this is in the form of range of providers, again across the feeder section. I congratulate Odin Dunn and his team, together with the ongoing support of the team at Derry City and Strabane District Council. We will continue to work with Tourism NI and Tourism Ireland and other bodies and look forward to welcoming our visitors back to the City of Derry. We really have so much to offer. I'd now like to pass you across to Odin Dunn, our CEO, who will take you through a presentation of where we are and look at how we're going to be performing in the months and years ahead. Thank you, Odin. Over to yourself.
Thanks, Michelle. Good afternoon, everyone. Delighted to have the opportunity to give you an update on the tourism sector and what, as Michelle has said, has been a very challenging and unprecedented time for the sector, particularly over the last 18 months or so. So just for the benefit of some members maybe who are not aware of the organisation, a little bit about Visit Derry. We are a not-for-profit public-private sector partnership. We're a membership-based delivery model and a company limited by guarantee. We're established in the mid-1990s and modelled on Boston Visitor and Convention Bureau in the United States. And we're established as a DMO, which is Destination Marketing Organisation, to lead on destination marketing and visitor servicing for the city and district, managing the visitor information centres and working with Strabane VIC as well. Our membership is open to any business who feels that they can benefit from the growth of tourism within the city and district. And we currently have over 200 members who are currently part of the membership of the company. Next slide, please. And next. Our role then can be defined as a DMO, straddling probably between a marketing and a management organisation with two clear functions. One's destination marketing, responsible for domestic and international promotion, sales activity, undertaking campaigns on behalf of the city and district to raise the profile of the destination. And ultimately, we're working towards the tourism strategy of 2025. And that has been a co-created document with Derry City and Strabane District Council and a range of partners and stakeholders right across the city and district to drive a 100 million investment in the sector by 2025 and attract 1 million visitors. Next, please. So a critical component of the tourism strategy to 2025 was to drive jobs growth in the sector, ultimately, because that would bring us wealth to the city and district. So looking back in 2019, you can see the year numbers there. We had £71 million generated from overnight visitors to the city and district. They spent almost 1 million bed nights across the district, which was fantastic looking back now. But I suppose that gives us the challenge for the years ahead. The big challenge now coming through from the sector appears to be the skills challenge. And we've seen that right across the global industry, with every destination across the world coming with the same issue. Will we have the jobs likely? But the question will be, will we have the people and the skills to fill these jobs? And that will be an undergoing challenge for the years ahead. Next, please. So the support, as we said, we had a target of, as you can see on the right-hand side, by 2025 to generate 5,700 jobs in total. That was an increase of 1,000 jobs from pre-2018 when the strategy was completed. And by 2019, on the left, you see we had generated 5,400 jobs. We're well on target to delivering on the strategy's 5,700 jobs in 2019. And actually, we're probably going to supersede that until the pandemic hit. Next, please. So global tourism obviously has been well documented in terms of the impact that the pandemic has had. We've seen 2020 probably a reduction of 70% in activity across the global tourism market. We'll probably see a bit coming back for 21, maybe about 50–60% back to normality. But again, we're still a long way off getting back to the 2019 level. Next, please. Can you go back? Yeah, go back. The graph, the one on the graph, back. Now you're going forward, backwards. The graph. The one before that, please. Thanks. Okay, so we can see the scale of the task in hand. We can see the progressive economic impact from 2012 when we were generating 25 million to the local economy. By 2019, we almost got 75 million. The question is, where have we gone now in 20 and 21? Early indications would say we're probably sitting at 25 million for 2020. And because we've been closed for 5 months of 21, we're likely to be coming at perhaps 35–40 million. So we're a long way off the 100 million target of 2025. So the question really is, how quickly can we recover and rebound? That is unknown, and that's obviously a global trend. There's a lot of factors that will impact on that, particularly air connectivity into the island, and also building consumer confidence in travel. Next, please. But one of the good indicators for us over the last year has been the staycation trend. That has worked really well for the city and district, and we'll probably see, hopefully, a lot of repeat business, and hopefully it will leave an important legacy impact for future overnights as we attempt to minimise the seasonality of the sector and encourage people from across the island to come and visit for not just once a year, maybe a few times a year. So you can see we've lost about 40% of our international market. We've replaced that with staycations in 2021, as you can see. But the unknown remains what will happen as travel opens up again, and will we be able to attract international visitors back in? And we're confident we'll do that again. Next, please. So we've moved through various phases of recovery, focusing on business survival, and obviously we welcome the government initiatives to support the sector, which has really been fantastic. The rates relief, the job retention scheme, and the various localised restriction support schemes. They've all had a really important impact on protecting the industry and making it ready to recover and supporting the recovery phase. And for us now, it's all about building confidence and stimulating the demand. Next, please. And we've done this through marketing campaigns, creating consumer confidence, and doing a mix of a big spread of marketing, mix of TV, social, digital, video on demand, press, billboards, to raise the profile of the city and district across our key markets, particularly Northern Ireland and ROI, over the last few months. Next, please. We've also had a unique relationship with Leitrim and Slow Adventure. We'll be able to really enhance the great outdoors and our natural hinterland, using the fantastic landscapes of the River Foyle and its tributaries to highlight immersive experiences, and whether that's food foraging, whether it's cycling, walking. And that's just give us a great brand awareness as we move towards a sustainable agenda for the city and district. Next, please. So the sales activity continues. We're delighted we're now back into live events. Obviously, we've been zoomed out and teamed out for 18 months, but that's given us an opportunity to engage with a lot of international tour operators that we would never have had exposure to. So with the reset, we think we'll be in a better position to grow the visitor numbers to the city and district. In-person events have now returned. We're at World Travel Market last week, and interest is fantastic for the City and District, and we will build the momentum as we moved into 22-23. Early indications are that 7 out of 10 travellers internationally are likely to start moving on a month of holiday by next summer, but the return of some sense of normality in terms of visitor figures is likely to be a year or two off that. Next, please. The Tourism Recovery Task Force, we were instrumental in being a key stakeholder and involved in coming up with partners in Tourism Northern Ireland and DETI to ensure that the sector was supported throughout the pandemic. For us now, we focused on consumer building consumer confidence and consumer demand, and some of the support mechanisms that we've seen come through, as you know yourselves, the High Street Voucher Scheme, which is building high street confidence, which has been fantastic. We also have launched a business events conference support scheme, which will support business events and association conferences coming to the city with a £50 per delegate support package. And that'll all help stimulate demand in the sector. Next slide, please. And also we're waiting on word of the holiday at home voucher scheme, and hopefully that gets the approval, but I think there's a bit of a question mark on that at present. Next slide, please. As you know, we're probably the only place in the world to open a new visitor centre in the middle of a pandemic. I have to congratulate Derry City and Strabane District Council's Capital Works team and all the officers who made this happen in what was really challenging circumstances. We got opened for a week in September 2020, and we were closed a week later. But we've now been open since the end of May, and we're delighted with the throughput and the interest and the civic engagement we've got in the centre. And it is a great gateway for visitors to the city and wider district. And we've worked collaboratively with Strabane, BIC and the Alley around engagement and the support that we can provide them as well. We also launched the Visitor Pass with the Mayor had done that in June. And again, that's a pilot scheme, the first in Northern Ireland, to integrate some visitor attractions and offer guests the ability to purchase online and do a 1 or 2 day pass visit to the city. Next, please. Undoubtedly, the tourism industry has taken a massive hit. However, we're focusing on resetting and putting our best foot forward to rebound and drive tourism growth in the years ahead. And what better way when you look at the opportunities to stimulate demand, support tourism recovery, which you yourselves as committee members are all part of supporting, which has been fantastic. The City Deal announcement, the urban and rural experience development programs, that'll bring out new products across the city and district, which will then be taken to market, and we'll be supporting the officers, the product development officers, to take that into domestic and international markets. The fantastic Spare and Partnership projects, which will open up new opportunities and trails right across the district. And we've already mentioned how Halloween, it's been fantastic to get Halloween through this year and really lead the way in Ireland for delivering events. And there's a great lineup hopefully planned for next year. Screen tourism, we know the success of Game of Thrones, but thankfully we've our little bit of Golden Nugget and Derry Girls season 3's filming. But that has great potential to attract contemporary visitors and drive screen tourism. The Open and Golf will provide us a great opportunity as well and position the city and district within the Wild Atlantic Way and Causeway Coastal Route, and making use of all the parkland coastal courses within the district and our linkages then with the links courses around the coast. With our business events program we're working through, and obviously everything is about collaboration and working towards the goals of the strategy to drive there and get to the 100 million target. Hopefully it will be 2025 with a fair wind, but we remain, it's a challenging environment, and we just hope that we can see out the other side once international travel picks up. I'll pass you back to Michelle for the last slide. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so you've heard from Odrin. So the key actions just to implement the findings of the independent review of Visit Derry, and obviously sort of the 2018 report and the recommendations that Derry City and Strabane District Council and the current SLA exists of 400,000. So we do have an awful lot of work to do in the city and district. Hopefully we'll be able to meet our 100 million target. The jobs growth and the skills is a challenge, and it's currently being looked at by Tourism NI and again locally with Derry City Strabane District Council and with North West Regional College, with the introduction of the level 2 and level 3 apprenticeships and with the Northern Ireland OCNNI awarding organisation. That should roll out by September next year. And again, it focuses very much on food, bar, housekeeping and tourism, which are the gaps really in the industry. With the loss of 40% in the international market, again, so as Odrin said, there has been engagement across with international partners that we may not have been able to have if it hadn't been for COVID. We use our social platforms. Again, outdoor activities will be of paramount importance. And again, sort of in a pandemic, opening up the Visit Derry Visitor Centre was to be applauded. And again, as Odrin had said earlier, just to congratulate the partnership between Derry City and Strabane District Council. And again, we look forward to the city deal with the new products there as well. So hopefully we do have an awful lot of work to do. Our team, as I said before, worked tirelessly. And again, we couldn't do it without aiding Jennifer and Stephen. And again, our board and our team at Visit Derry. So I'd like to just open up just for any questions that the panel may have.
Okay, thank you, Michelle and Odrin, for that very comprehensive presentation. A lot of really useful information on there. I have a couple of questions myself. I'll come on in a second, and then I have a number of indicated people who want to come in as well, members who want to come in. So I'll bring all them on first, and then maybe bring you back at the end just to maybe pick up on any questions. So just for myself, like as chair, I can definitely say that you can feel and see the huge amount of tourists that are now starting to come back to the city. My wife's actually involved in the tour guiding business at the minute, and they're flat out. So it's working. The strategy that he's put in place and the ability to bounce back from the pandemic is definitely coming through. So well done on that. And can I just also, before I ask my questions, just take this opportunity? I was going to do it in Chair's business, but I'll just do it now. They just commend and thank Aideen and all our team on the absolutely fantastic Halloween events that we had this year. It was absolutely outstanding, and a credit to everyone involved and all the people that took part in it. So I just wanted to formally do that at this meeting, which is the first meeting since that time. So my two questions are on the issue of air passenger duty. There's definitely rumours, at least, that there's a potential announcement on air passenger duty coming in the not too distant future, and I'm wondering what you think that would have on the impact that would have on what you are trying to do in the promotion of the city. And secondly, it was mentioned during the presentation as well, the Wild Atlantic Way. Where is it at, the sort of approaches with and discussions with the Irish government in relation to extending the Wild Atlantic Way over across the area and further up the north coast? Just that we are also included in the international marketing that surrounds that very successful marketing strategy. So that's my two. Councillor Cusick was the first thing.
Thank you, Chair, and hi, Michelle, Odrin. Thank you very much. And being on the board, as you know, I know how challenging the past 2 years in particular have been, not only for the organisation, but tourism in general for the city and district. However, the ability, the creativity, the tenacity of Visit Derry team and partners definitely has to be applauded. And it's a word we seem to use an awful lot, applauded, but that's the best way to put it. Especially with the added challenge of relocating and opening the fantastic new modern interactive premises in Waterloo Place. And I saw there the recent email there that's come through that opens 7 days a week now, so nobody's going to miss out whenever they're here, that they've got the opportunity to visit the centre. And I really would encourage people to do that, especially if you're from the town. There's so much that people even living here don't realise about the city itself, and it's surprising how many people haven't been to our museums or even walked around our walls. And that's been shown now, as you said, in the figures about the local tourism, the internal tourism, where people from across the border, even within different cities in the north, are coming here, and that has helped sort of negate a lot of the issues with the global shutdown in travel. So that's a good thing, and considering the challenges that were being forced on you, and how do you cope, and how do you actually try and fill those beds. And I know a lot of the hoteliers, vintners, all those in the leisure retail sector were really concerned about that, but that has helped, and that internal tourism has helped, so well done. We just want to say that tourism globally, as I've already said, has suffered incredibly, but it is remarkable how Visit Derry and the partners in the industry, especially with Tourism NI, Tourism Ireland, they have continued to invest in our future potential. And I've been continually impressed with the imaginative advertising and the marketing campaigns that have been coming through as well too. That and hand with our own council's departments, they have not stopped. Even though travel has, you have not stopped. And our own council department, especially those in business and culture and festivals, they have really strove to keep things going and keep the head above water, because our ultimate aim here is job creation and job retention. And Derry District, as we see tourism and leisure as they are huge economic drivers here, but we also need to attract new markets, such as, and you've indicated that, Odrin, the film industry. And I'm very proud to say that I've recently put a motion through council there, which has made this and attracting the film industry and all the benefits of that, made that council's corporate policy. I'm looking forward to that being developed more and helping walk hand in hand with our offering here and attract people to Derry and what we've got to offer. And aside from that, I've recently become a member on Facebook of a Derry Girls Facebook fan club. I think it's got about over 3,000 fans, and they're from all over the world. So a simple series can have such a massive global impact, and how interested people are in Derry just because of that. So I know we all here have continuous challenges, especially how to revitalise and help our nighttime economy, which I know is essential in attracting visitors. And that's something that I think we need to talk more about, because I know we're having a bit of an issue with that, with our nighttime economy. But just finally, on behalf of the SDLP, we would like to thank you and your partners, our council officers, for all the extra work and effort during this time, and long may continue to reap rewards. Thank you very much.
Okay, Councillor Logue.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Michelle, for your address, and Odrin for the presentation. And I would just like to say congratulations on the opening of your new premises. I will get a wee run in to see it, and I probably will see a part, I suppose, of this council district that I've never seen before, but hopefully I will get on. It looks very impressive from the outside anyway, but I do know that the sector has faced many challenges this past number of years, but hopefully we are turning the corner now. And you did mention a few of the challenges, such as staff, and that sector really needs to be increased. It needs to have that attractiveness. So I know you are working with the Northwest College and particular community training organisations, but work in this sector can sometimes be seen as low wage, and the perception that there's no career escalation. So hopefully that can all be turned around with the input of everybody involved. You also mentioned the staycation market, and there was talk, I suppose, earlier on in the year of the staycation voucher. I do think that needs to be come through for the sector. And you know, it could particularly be used for us to maybe holiday in our own and go to places in our own council district that we don't normally go to. So I would like to see more pressure on the department to bring that voucher scheme through, because the tourism sector do need that boost. I suppose the promotion of dairy, and I have seen some of the advertisement, especially the new television advertisement out, and it is really, really impressive. And congratulations on that. But I think we need to promote, I know the chair mentioned the Wild Atlantic Way, but we need to be promoting Derry District Council as the hub between the Wild Atlantic Way and the Causeway coastal route. And that needs to be marketed in a, you know, a wider northwest place to come to. And I would suggest that, I know the Northwest Regional Development Group have agreed to fund marketing campaigns for the wider Northwest, and you probably would know of that anyway, but if not, you know, I think it would be good to touch base with them. But I say use the Wild Atlantic Way and the Causeway coastal routes as Derry being the hub. We've also seen the opening of new greenways, new proposed greenways. You also mentioned, Odrin, about the festivals lineup for the year 21-22 coming, and indeed it is very impressive. It kicks off in January, where it is the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday in the city this year, and there is going to be a year long of events, and that there will be a wide interest in that, and that needs to be promoted as well. February is going to see the Luminaire Festival, 2 weeks. Brilliant people coming out of the winter period, and you know, being able to come somewhere in February will certainly lift people's spirits, and that needs to be advertised too as well. But look, I could go on and on about the very long list of festivals and events for the council district for this year, but you do know of them all themselves. We also have the new airline routes that were announced, Liverpool and Edinburgh. That goes 2 ways. So, you know, if we can market Liverpool and Edinburgh, you know, use our market material there to see what we have here, nor hopefully we will get the numbers returning the holiday here too as well. I suppose there's challenges. The nighttime economy was mentioned. I know there's challenges in the taxi industry, and that is something that needs to be addressed too, because the visitors come here, and you know, there's issues with getting to wherever they're staying. You know, that needs sorted out. I know at the minute that the Irish National Transport Association are running a consultation up to the 10th of December, and they have a very ambitious plan for the Northwest regarding connecting Ireland, so it might be an idea to touch base with that too as well. Look, I'll stop now and let all our speakers come in, but thank you very much, and I look forward to coming over and having a visit, getting a look around the centre. Thank you.
Okay, Michelle, I know there's a lot in there, but if you don't mind, 4 further indicated speakers, and I'll take the 4 of them and then bring these both back in if that's okay. So next I have Alderman Devaney.
Thank you, Chair, for allowing me in, and I just want to put on our record our thanks to Aileen and the team for the Halloween weekend that we had. It was just disappointing about the weather, But well done to Airing and the team, and just kind of say it's good to see Michelle and Odrin here. A very, very positive presentation. And you're very, very right. You did state that all sectors have suffered in the last 20 months, and nothing more or less. Tourism has especially suffered over the last 20 months. But it's good to see that we have a good team in place here, promoting everything in a very positive way. Even through the difficult time, promoting the city on staycations and all the advertisement that you have done. But I think you have hit something there. The issue and around people's and skills to fulfil the jobs as we move forward. And I'm sure that the tourism industry, along with this group, will play a big role in part in how we move forward out of the COVID situation. And that is a sector, and look, any initiative, whatever it is, our party would be very supportive, funding no matter what it is, if it's £100 card or whatever comes down the avenue at us, that we will be supportive no matter what initiative that comes forward to support the tourism sector here in the city and the wider council area. Just on the issue of air passenger duty, I'm just hearing the same information that there could be a positive announcement shortly. Don't know what the positive is, but look, and that will expand our routes to and from the UK mainland, which is good news as well. But I have no questions for you, only praise, and well done, and keep the good work up. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, the next is Councillor Harkin. Councillor Harkin, are you there? Right, I'll move on and come back if Sean comes back on. Alderman Hussey.
Thank you, Chair, for the opportunity, and Michelle and Odrin, thank you for the presentation. Tremendous amount of work being done, and obviously the development, of new premises to operate in. And I do congratulate Visit Area on the work that they do, but I'll extend that to a challenge also. And I suppose my first question would be, would they agree that there is a continuing credibility issue beyond specifically the city and to a lesser degree Strabane town? I think it was Councillor Logue referred to the hub and the connection through to Causeway, Coast St Glens, but that hub also extends south to the rest of our council area. And can I suggest that in order to overcome what I perceive to be a credibility issue, that Visit Area is more than just about the city, that perhaps outreach events could be held with meet and greet events over the wider rural settlements to both explain the marketing services, etc., that Visit Area can offer, and indeed listen to the needs and concerns of the wider tourist sector throughout our council area. It's just a suggestion. I don't know if that can be taken on board, but I certainly think that outreach is something that is necessary to overcome what I perceive to be an unfortunate credibility issue. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, I see Councillor Harkin's back with us. You want to come in now, Councillor Harkin?
Thank you, Chairs, and sorry about getting knocked off there. And first of all, thank you to the representatives from Visit Derry for an extremely detailed report. And it's very clear there's a small number of people doing a tremendous amount of work because that was a lot of initiatives that you spoke through. And I'm sure that you are working, you've been very, very busy trying to help the city and the district recover out of the pandemic. And I think we know how hard the tourist sector was hit and the hospitality sector and everything else. I think you're doing a tremendous job there. And obviously we should all be advocates for our city and our district in terms of encouraging people from across Ireland to visit here or from across the world, and that we have, you know, Derry and the district has so many fantastic things to do and to see. People should come here and take advantage of them and see them, and it's great to see that there's going to be more things for people to do. So these are all welcome things and things we should encourage. £100 million investment by 2025 is a tremendous amount of money, and obviously that is a huge task for everybody involved in it. And hopefully, and I think what we have to aim for is to see you know, that money paying off and then benefiting people broadly across the district in terms of the goals of increasing you know, the wealth for everybody across the district, but also seeing you know, more jobs. And I think as a council, we can't just be aiming at job creation. I mean, that's simply not good enough, because we have to aim for better paying jobs. I mean, look, our district, as everybody knows, lags behind the entirety of Ireland. It's one of the lowest wage areas in this island. The recent report from the NSCA documented just how low the wages are here. And unfortunately, we know that in the hospitality sector, wages have been quite low. That's not necessarily the responsibility of Visit Derry, but if we're speaking more broadly about recovery coming out of the pandemic and what we want to be aiming for with £100 million investment, this cannot be a situation where a tiny few people who own hotels or own many hotels are seeing huge benefits, while those that are actually doing the work, workers in the hospitality sector, workers who are part of our arts sector who make this place so vibrant, aren't benefiting. And as people probably know, zero wage, 0 hour contracts, paying young people below the minimum wage, way below the minimum wage, and a whole range of issues that are problematic or quite rampant in the hospitality sector. And I've talked to a lot of workers in hospitality over the last year and a half who were very frustrated about how you know, businesses got taken care of, but they didn't feel there was any real packages for them. So I think that we have to be aiming for good paying jobs, and that means you know, I think some of the hotels and hotel chains have to end their hostility to trade unionism, because that's one way that workers in the sector can raise their terms and conditions and pay. And as people know, look, the hospitality sector is saying they've already got a huge problem finding workers, and workers are not going to sign up for low wages. And so if we want that to change, if there's going to be growth in this sector, if there's going to be an expansion, there's going to have to be a change in mentality how workers are treated. So and look, you know, I've said it before, you know, I think we need to thank our hospitality workers and our workers in the tourism sector and our workers in the arts and culture sector for all the work that they've done, because they're at the heart of making these brilliant festivals that Derry has organised. They're at the heart of making those successes, and often they don't get the praise that they should. So thank you for the presentation, and I hope that you agree with some of them points.
Okay, and the final indicated speaker is Councillor Farrell.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks, Michelle and Odrin, for the presentation. So I think everybody would agree that locally we've got a very significant and impressive tourism offering. We've obviously got iconic Derry, which are the walls, Free Derry Corner, Bogside Murals, Peace Bridge. We've got our fantastic festivals and events calendar. We've got beautiful Donegal on our doorstep. Our bars are famously good crack, and I read on Twitter recently that our restaurants are God tier in comparison to Belfast. So those are all the positives. And I note that Visit Derry, one of the key aspects of your role is visitor servicing. So what feedback are you getting from visitors and tourists about where the gap is locally, what we could do in terms of signature projects that could attract, they'd be a unique selling point for the city to attract tourists. And a question on the visitor pass as well. What's the feedback like on that? Thank you.
Okay, thanks for that, everybody. Odrin, Michelle, do you just want to respond or take any of those questions now, just to bring you back here now?
Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, I can come on a few of those. APD, yes. Obviously, that's been a big, strong lobby to abolish APD. I think the indications are that it'll be reduced on the domestic routes. So that's good. Obviously, it's an island economy that that'll encourage lower cost fares. So it's been a strong lobby with the VAT reduction, obviously, as well over the last year or two, and the rates relief. So they're the three sort of key lobby aspects over the last year or two, and it's good to see there's been movement. Obviously, we'd like to see the abolishment completely of APD, but that hasn't likely to happen. But it's a step in the right direction. In terms of the Wide Atlantic Way Causeway Coastal Route, the Sperrins, yes, our unique selling point is our natural geographic location. And once we go internationally, take us out of the island, we're a very small entity in the world terms and global terms, if you're standing in New York or Seattle or Sydney. And our job is to encourage people to this part of the island. And now they're not just going to come and spend their time in Derry when they do that. They want to come and explore. And we have to make the most of the assets which surround us, and whether that's the mountains, lakes, rivers, coasts, whatever those attractions are, we wouldn't be very parochial in that aspect. What we're using is the city as a base, but there's a wider offering, and we'll see more of that develop over the coming years. I'm working closely with the product development team, particularly Jennifer and the team 18, to see new products and experiences come through, and that'll be fantastic for the city and district. So yeah, I think around that challenge, we're probably going to move into a whole sustainable agenda that'll open up the city proposition to the wider district and wider region. And we're looking forward to that, the greenways, the blueways, the mountains, and bringing all that into the mix in terms of putting us on the island as one of the top places to come because of our proposition and a unique proposition and geographic proposition at that. In terms of the pass, yes, we launched the pass in the end of June. It was actually launched in particular for the international market, but as you can imagine, with limited international tourists coming through. But we're really happy with how it's gone as the pilot in the first year in terms of sales. But it's obviously work in progress. We'd like to get through a full year with international travel back, and we have operators, 15 international operators have signed up, but obviously none of the operators have come in yet. So let's sort of watch the space for that one, and we'll keep you briefed on how that progresses. But it was innovative, it's digital, it's in keeping with the times and what the consumer is looking for, and hopefully it will have duration in market as we progress. In terms of the big attraction, yeah, that's I suppose the $1 million question, and if somebody had the golden nugget as to tell us what that would be, we have a unique, fantastic offering, and it's how we make the most of the assets that we currently have, and to be building something big, shiny, and new. Well, I think we need some blue sky thinking and global best practice and identifying something if that's the investment that we want to go through. But we'd love to see the city district and the wider northwest become the sort of beacon of tourism on the island, and then organically things will develop and grow out of that as we move towards a really sustainable agenda, and maybe we're in a good position to benefit from that. I think that's most of the stuff that I picked up on.
Can I just come on just on some questions as well? I sit in the board of NITA, so hopefully I have a meeting tomorrow morning, so as soon as we hear anything back on the air passenger duty, that we will feed that back. Again, sort of think it is of paramount importance, about the voucher scheme when it comes out, and sort of the staycation to make sure we have plenty of bums on bed, so to speak, during those quiet times. I think it was Councillor Logue had mentioned just the turning point in that, and just about the dairy girls and promoting the business and the greenways and stuff in the Great Dairy Outdoors. And again, take on board as well sort of the historical year that we have coming forward. Just in response as well, just I have been liaising with Northwest Taxi Driver Proprietors and City Cabs. We'd actually put a proposal together a few years back because we did see a gap on the market of taxi drivers coming forward. So that's sort of work in progress at the moment. In response to the people and skills, I've just come off a NOS call this morning, the National Occupational Standards. I know there were some questions there, totally agree with Councillor Harkin, just about, you know, the very low paid young people that are in hospitality. And I think it is paramount that we look after them and reskill and refresh everybody in the hospitality and tourism industry, and we get them up to a level that they will enjoy their work and they will want to stay in that industry. I think Councillor Hussey, I do understand what you're saying and totally agree just about the outlying areas, just making sure that they're actually serviced and, you know, we look after a rural area. Just before COVID struck, we actually had 60 people that I engaged with as a trainer across Ballymagurry, Mahermason, Ardgarvan, Dunnamana, Strabane, Sion Mills and Castlederg, and they were all eager to get skills and qualifications across that. So they're certainly not forgotten. And again, so I'm doing some work around the Castlederg area at the moment. So, you know, obviously sort of listening and having a listening ear and filtering in sort of to visit Derry, that's close to my heart as well. And I understand everyone's concerns. I'm just going through my notes here as well. And again, as Odrin just talked about, you know, the last councillor spoke there, the calendar of events, the good crack in the bars and the restaurant. We really have unique offerings to offer everybody coming to the city. But I think for me, it's actually seeing the progress that we've made over the last number of years. And I think sort of, you know, we talk about reskilling and refreshing and our new developments and so on and so forth. We are getting there. We really are. Compared to where we were 10 and 15 years ago, you know, we've made a considerable progress in every field, and, you know, just looking at how we can keep people here, how we can create employment, how we can actually sustain sort of, you know, the wage that people are working for. That is all happening. It's all work in progress. But where I see the big thing is you know, making sure that we have jobs for everyone, making sure that our industry across the food, accommodation, transportation, entertainment and retail is all serviced by our local people. I understand that there was a comment there about, you know, hoteliers have never been so well off and whatever, and maybe the staff have been maybe a little bit and felt a little bit left behind. But I think now the opportunities that are being presented both in education, both in apprenticeships, level 2, level 3 across, you know, bar, tourism, front of house, business, cocktail, barista, whatever, we're all ticking those boxes. We have people, you know, here in Derry and beyond, and the district willing to take these steps, but it really is sort of, it's happening. It's baby steps, yes, at the minute, but I think you have to sort of take those steps in order to be successful. But I thank you all very much for your comments and your questions, and we will of course keep you up to date. And just again to thank you for your support and your lovely comments back to Visit Derry. And again, just to thank Derry City and Strabane District Council, to Aileen, Stephen and Jennifer and the team there as well. Most appreciated.
Okay, thank you, Michelle and Odrin. Keep up the good work. That was very interesting and very comprehensive in terms of your responses. So thanks very much for that. And we'll move on now if you don't mind.
Thank you.
Okay, that brings us to item 6, which is chairperson's business. I haven't been notified of anyone wanting to raise anything, and I don't have any issues for chairperson's business, so we move on. On to matters arising from the previous minutes of the Business and Culture Committee. Can I have a proposer and seconder for accuracy, please?
So proposed, Alderman Devaney.
I'll second that, Chair Jason Barr.
It's done. Are there any matters arising wanting to be raised?
Okay, Councillor Harkin.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, look, I think everybody has seen the awful scenes in Newton Abbey and elsewhere of buses being burned, of drivers being having their windscreens put through, of passengers being pushed off buses, and it's just been absolutely disgraceful. So I think that it's appropriate for us as a council to be speaking about this today. And obviously, we had the unfortunate situation of people in some parts of the waterside, Tully Alley, Currynearn, losing access to public transportation last night. Fortunately, that won't be the case this evening. And I think, first of all, we need to, as a council, send our solidarity to the drivers that have been on the receiving end of this thuggery, and that we send our solidarity to the passengers who were pushed off buses, and everybody really that has been distressed by all this. And I think we also have to extend we have to commend the bus workers who walked off the job yesterday and went to Belfast City Hall, and who decided that they were going to take action until they got assurances that no further attacks were going to happen to bus drivers or the buses. And I want to commend Unite the Union and GMB, who represent the workers. And I think we have to speak out loudly in solidarity with those bus workers against these despicable attacks. And I do want to say, look, I think that there's been a lot of condemnation about the people who carried out these attacks, but the DUP and others have whipped this stuff up. They've used the protocol to whip up a situation now where people are going out trying to inflame sectarian tension, inflame sectarian violence. People going to interfaces in Belfast trying to start fights. And the DUP think that nobody notices that they've whipped this up and are now going to try and stand back and blame everybody else. So I think that the DUP need to take responsibility, and others, for the way in which they've whipped up tensions, and now that has led now to the burning of these buses, to bus workers being attacked, to the loss of services here in Derry and in Belfast. And we hope that this situation won't continue. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Hussey.
Chairman, was a matter arising, not under Chair's business.
That's about right.
So I didn't think the last one was. Sorry, Chair. 170/21. It's titled Christmas 2021, but you'll note there that I made reference to Halloween events, particularly the unfortunate non-event in Castleberg, the Apple Fair. And this is also related to item 175, which is the grants for events in the next financial year. The grants are closing this Friday, and I know there have been some hectic efforts within Castleberg to perhaps get an application in, which I hope will be successful. But I find it concerning that, a community group, and there is this capacity issue which has been referred to in the chamber before, community group putting in an application which actually applies to next financial year. I do know that there are plans to bring together folk early in the new year in Castleberg with regard to the Apple Fair and a restoration of that event. But to officers, I say this presents quite an interesting challenge this year, because that will be on the 20th and 29th of October, and Halloween, of course, will be 2 days later. So I think there's a need for officers to become involved in this overall Halloween package to ensure a more closely coordinated overall product, given that traditionally, up until this year, well, for a couple of years up until this year, the Apple Fair has been an opening event within that. So I would like to see number one, a restoration, but also a greater involvement at officer level within that particular event, given that it does fall within the overall Halloween festival. But time will tell if that happens. And I trust that the application will be in time for funding, and I trust that there will be officer participation once local groups get together early in the new year, early in January, to consider how they can develop and enhance what has been something very welcome in Castleberry, but unfortunately a lot of anger, actually, not just dismay, but open anger that the event didn't happen this year. Thank you, Chair.
Good, thanks, Derek. Councillor Farrell.
Thanks, Chair, and it's in relation to item BC 177, which was the Jazz Festival. At this meeting last month, we had a discussion about the plans for the Jazz Festival next year, but sadly, since that discussion, Gay McIntyre has passed away, and I think we as a council should send condolences to Gay's family. And I understand there were plans in place to recognise Gay's contribution to jazz by naming the Guildhall Square stage in his honour, and that was before he died. So I do think the council needs to explore opportunities to further recognise and further celebrate Gay McIntyre's contribution to jazz on this island and indeed globally. So I would ask that a paper be brought to this committee to understand what way, if any, we can further recognise Gay's contribution to jazz. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Farrell, and obviously I echo your sentiments. As my understanding, there was discussion of this at full council and work was being progressed in light of the sad passing. So that seems to be underway. Councillor Harkin's looking to come in on this, and then I'll bring you in, Alderman Devine.
Thanks, Chair. Yeah, look, I think we can all agree that the passing of Gay McIntyre is an opportunity for the council as a whole to look at how we can make sure that we properly respect his legacy going forward. So we did agree at the full council meeting that we would have a meeting of party representatives and independents with council officers and the McIntyre family. So I think we need to do that because we need to hear directly from the McIntyre family what they would like to see, and then we can see what council can do. So are any of the council officers in a position to give us an update about if that meeting is being put together or when it's likely to happen? Thanks, Chair.
So if I just get the meeting is being arranged, we haven't got a date yet, Councillor Harkin, but I mean that's in train to get all the relevant parties together, and we'll get the date as soon as possible for everybody.
Okay, Alderman Devine.
Alain Main, and just on the previous issue about Gay McIntyre, I have no problem in supporting it moving forward and getting that meeting organised. But Chairman, I have to go back. I just want to answer Councillor Harkin about the DEP whipping up this stuff about violence. I would just want to put on record that we condemn violence no matter who carries it out, and the DEP has not been promoting or been involved in organising this type of violence of burning buses, because all it does, it harms the community where the bus is in. As we see the harm it has done, they have, buses have been called off. Even in Londonderry, they've been called off as well, which is a concern for me because I don't see why they were called off here. Because this issue was in Belfast. But I just want to put on record our condemnation and our party's condemnation for this type of activity, and it should cease. And I know Councillor Harkin has continually mentioned the DEP in the protocol. We're not the only unionist party that doesn't support the protocol, Chair. Thank you.
Apologies. Okay, that concludes matters arising. Takes us on to item 8, and I think Kevin's presenting this.
Thanks, Chair. Members, this paper is actually quite relevant to some of the issues that were raised in the visit dairy presentation, some of the comments from members around skills shortages and that type of thing. So the purpose of this report is to secure your approval to adopt an employment academy framework and to proceed with the appointment of a panel of training providers to deliver these academies. Members who are on this committee will be more than aware around the programme of work that's underway in relation to skills and employability and being led out through Council's skills team, and has obviously been underlined through the establishment of the interim labour market partnerships. Clearly, as everybody's aware and has heard, as the pandemic has progressed and as the economy has reopened, there's been skills, sectors right across the economy have been experiencing skills shortages, and employers have been looking for more innovative ways to try to meet their needs. These include employers, and they've been looking at these employment academies as an approach to doing that. These employers stretch from the IT sector to fintech to welding to social care, and not least to the hospitality sector. The approach involves ring-fenced employment opportunities through the Employment Academy approach has been a major area of work and has arguably been the most successful, not only in terms of employment outcomes, but also engaging with government departments to demonstrate what works locally and what role we can play as a council. Council's skills initiatives have been focused around addressing gaps in centrally delivered programmes since 2015. In fact, Council since 2016 has match funded about 800,000 towards ESF projects across the city and the district. It has also looked at promoting career development initiatives aimed at the post-primary sector, pupils and teachers, it's also promoted apprenticeships. Council has obviously also aligned its activity at attempting to contribute to the improvement in poor economic outcomes like economic inactivity, the employment rate, salary levels and educational attainments. Within the report, it does contain some statistics around the current picture around employment and economic inactivity. And what is interesting is that we are seeing more people employed now within the city and district than in 2016. However, obviously, and the gap between the employment rate for Derry and Strabane and the wider Northern Ireland gap starting to narrow, that does indicate that there's certainly an increased demand for people and for skills, therefore demonstrating the need to potentially look at these types of academies. So what is an academy itself? So it consists of two areas: pre-employment training. These typically can include employability skills training, technical vocational training relating to a specific role. So if you thought about HGV drivers or taxi drivers or workers within the hospitality industry, something specific to their area. So it involves that training. And then what is probably the most relevant from our perspective is that the academy also has a guaranteed job interview at the end of that training. So obviously matching the trained employee with a potential employer. That's where the investment goes to. So obviously our role has changed over time in testing the Employment Academy approach by a one-off tendering, which we've done over the years. So we've ran out a number of specific individual and separate academies. What we want to do now is tender for a bank of training providers across a wide range of specific employment areas over a 3-year period, so that we can roll these academies out at a much quicker and more efficient manner. Clearly, we've been approached, more and more so over the last 6 months from both elected members, from industry lobby organisations, and from employers around skills shortages, and our capacity and ability to respond to those queries and challenges is somewhat hampered by the fact that we don't have a rolling contract of private training organisations and others to be able to deliver on the employment needs. So the proposal is to look at setting up a framework across a number of areas, but not necessarily defined just within Table 3.5, but certainly focusing on the areas with the greatest need at the minute, so that we can respond to these challenges over the next 3 years, in the hope that the labour market still, that there's plenty of demand within that labour market. So in terms of the financial implications, so whilst we're not necessarily committing a set amount of money now at this stage, an indicative allocation for each sector would be within this broad area would be around $500,000 over that 3-year period, with the option to extend for a further year. We're putting that figure down from a procurement perspective. The budget will be drawn from our existing rates allocation, and then crucially from the work that we're doing with DFC via the Labour Market Partnership Action Plan, and then any other sources as they become available. So the recommendation is to adopt this Employment Academy framework approach and to proceed with the appointment of a panel of training providers to deliver on these academies.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. And I would just like to add that there are organisations already based in communities that are carrying out a lot of this type of work already, and declaring interest as someone who works in that sector. But it would be important that Council does coordinate the efforts between what's already going on within those areas and the work that the Council's rolling out. But in saying that, I'm happy to propose this item. So number of indicated speakers here in the chamber. Councillor Logue.
Thank you, Chair, and I'll second this item. Thank you, Kevin, for that report. It's certainly, I suppose, it's very exciting to see this coming on board, and it is good to see that the DFC Minister has championed this approach. As there was some feelings in the I suppose the department for the DFE department in their approach. So I'm glad to see that this is innovative, and it will help recruit a lot of people who are probably furthest away from the job market. And it is great to see that there is a guaranteed interview at the end of the process. Hopefully that will attract recruits, and that they have something guaranteed to work towards. And I do want to echo as well what the Chair has said. I think it's vital that Council work with the community sector, who have been at the forefront of working in this type of campaigns for many years. So I think everybody should be working together, but I'd just like to welcome it and second that too. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Farrell.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks, Kevin, for the report. So, look, I get it. I understand the role and the importance of skills academies in terms of developing people's skills to meet demand within the labour market. But I just need clarity on one thing. It says the indicative allocation for each sector or lot would be $500,000 over a 3-year period. And there are 4 lots. So does that mean we're saying 2 mil? Right, that reassures me. Okay. And you were saying about, it also says here, it's important to note the framework is demand driven, and therefore response, it's basically, if there's no demand, there's no need to use this, and there's no need to spend money, etc., etc. Where is the demand at the minute in terms of those 4 sectors? I know about pressures within HGV sector, I know pressures within care sector, etc., but where do we see the most demand? Thanks.
Okay, okay, Kevin, go ahead, then I'll bring the final speaker.
So the demand, the number one demand at the minute is, well, equally shared, the demand at the top tier will be around hospitality, the hospitality sector. HGV is certainly very, very prominent in the headlines, but quite interesting. It's, you know, the ICT sector would come in at a close second if you were to put those two at the top. So we're seeing skill shortages right across the ICT sector. So more organizations are, in a really positive sense, the larger IT companies have woken up to the fact that the Derry and Strabane, the Northwest City region, is one of the best places to try to run your business from. So we are seeing organizations testing the market remotely here. You're seeing the benefits from that kind of promotion that we've done over the last 12 months around this location as a remote working destination. So we're seeing lots of demand for people across loads of different specific areas within ICT. Then you could trickle it down then around, you know, as I've said, I mean, around manufacturing. So there's been certainly a big uplift in manufacturing across the Northwest. Time will tell whether that was latent demand that just didn't happen in 2020 and it's just catching up itself in 2021. But all the indications are that the companies that have invested here have found their experience to be top drawer. You know, we're a great location to do business. So what we want to do as a local authority is back those companies and really wrap our arms around them to make it work beyond 2021 and to 22. And as we move out of the pandemic, make sure that we maintain the gains that we've made economically, you know, from a jobs market perspective going forward. So that would be, look, that's the queries that we're getting, Councillor Farrell. So it's maybe somewhat anecdotal, but those are the queries.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. And finally, I think Councillor Sunil Bar.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks, Kevin, for that good brief and also the explanation. I think the employment academies essentially do help people in the local community to find access and for training. And the more straightforward the procurement framework is, the easier the process of appointing good quality trainers, providers. And I echo the chair's comments of using local providers here. And there is no need of reinventing the wheel. If there is an existing procurement framework that works, then I think we should support it. As the old saying goes, Chair, it is an ill wind which blows no good. COVID-19 pandemic is a perfect example of this. On the other hand, it has led to a health crisis, which everyone is very aware, and so many deaths and unprecedented pressures which have been added in our crashing health service. I think, as you have mentioned, the existing labor and skill shortages in a number of sectors. There's the transport, there's logistics, and the most notable for us here in Derry, the taxi driver shortages, the lorries, I think, and which, quite frankly, it's not only COVID that has caused that. We do have Brexit, which led to 18,000 people from the EU workers living here. We know that there's shortages right now in the health and social care. The hospitality sector is also facing a crisis. Adding to this is the already alarming shortages that Derry has put up for decades. And there are also new jobs that are emerging in the green economy. And I think they should galvanize all our efforts to improve the new ways of working that will tackle these skill shortages within our labor market and really encourage our young people and adults who would like to acquire new skills to revitalize our economy and the job market to get involved. There may be people who want to change their careers now, and this might be a great opportunity for them employment academies are often targeted to unemployed, and it is a potential solution for the labor crisis. And I think it is a really great opportunity for us here, and the necessary training and to be enable unemployed people to re-enter the job market. So I do hope that we will target where there's really gaps, that those are the trainings that we are going to provide so that we can close the gap, and also make sure we have enough skills to for the vacancies that right now exist. So the procurement framework that has been proposed will appoint trainers, training providers in maybe transport, healthcare, and focusing on what we actually need will be critical. And so I do think we should support this, and I think there is no need for a competitive tender. If we have this, I think it eliminates that long, expensive and tedious procurement process that is used normally. So this is a good framework, and it's a win-win situation for all of us. So I think we support it 100%. Thanks, Chair.
Okay, and Darren, your attendance is noted here. So final speaker, then Alderman Devaney.
Chair, for allowing me in, and just kind of say well done to Kevin bringing forward this report. And our party has no problem in supporting the recommendation. Chair, I think it's vitally important that we are seen to be very proactive in the crisis that we're in, the labour crisis across quite a number of sectors that have been mentioned here at the meeting, and we're all very aware of them. Look, we are very supportive of any initiative to ease that crisis, whether it be through training or education or whatever it may be, Chair, but very happy to support the recommendation.
Okay, and I'd say last speaker anymore, because every time I do that, someone's on. Alderman Ramsey.
Sorry, Chair, just thank you very much, Kevin, and know my colleague already passed on our party's thanks. Just on the ICT situation, would we have any indication of how many jobs are up and coming? Because we do know of a major building that is being developed in the city, and I'm wondering, have we an update on where we are with that, with employment, and when jobs will be advertised?
The jobs that I'm alluding to are currently being advertised. So and funny, we're working on looking to try to collate all of the jobs that are currently available, and to work with all of those companies that have vacancies to promote them more on a wider basis. So these are jobs that are currently available. We were alluding to. They aren't necessarily so. This over the period of the next 2 to 3 years and beyond. Clearly, we hope that more jobs will arrive within the city and the district through inward investment and through our existing companies. So we as council are happy to promote and work with any organisations who have vacancies to make sure that the wider population know about their availability.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. So that item's been proposed and seconded, and I haven't heard anyone speaking against, so we'll take that item as passed. Can we move on to item 9 now? And I think it's Kevin again.
Thanks, Chair. And I suppose this report is actually about, the other side of it, creating a culture of entrepreneurship and trying to promote entrepreneurship to the wider population, and to help businesses to grow and thus create more jobs. So the purpose is to seek members' approval to deliver Enterprise Week in 2022 from the 7th to the 11th of March. So I think we're on maybe the 8th year of Enterprise Week now at this stage. And obviously last year we had to really curtail the program pretty much back to a one-day virtual event, given the restrictions that we were in. So we're obviously very excited to to be working on the delivery of a more extensive program in 2022. The key focus of Enterprise Week itself is about bringing local businesses together, helping them network, providing expertise and support to the individuals to start a business. Adds value to our own entrepreneurship type plan or go for a program. It really puts a focus on entrepreneurship as a way to create prosperity. We are indebted to our partners to deliver on Enterprise Week, and we collaborate extensively with Invest NI, Intertrade Ireland, the Labour Relations Agency, the Chamber of Commerce, Catalyst Inc., the enterprise agencies both here in the city and in Strabane, Young Enterprise, Northwest Regional College, Ulster University, and Women in Enterprise when delivering it. So in recent years, we've also collaborated with Starticus on the delivery of Lineup 2020 and then Leveling Up 2021 conferences. So the proposal for 2022 is to deliver a 5-day blended week-long series of events. So that'll be both in person and virtual. We will have the opening event of Enterprise Week 2022. We'll look at digital innovation and best practice from around the world. It'll focus on accelerating innovation, digitization, and societal change. COVID-19 has made businesses adapt, and many have, and they've had to adapt to the change very, very quickly. And there is an ongoing need to continue with that disruption, to use it as a foundation, obviously, to build on the future. So this one-day event will include keynote speakers, panel sessions, and interactive session. And it'll be both. It'll be in person, but people will be able to access it online. There are other events that are currently in the making around Be Your Own Business Celebrity, looking at funding, the financing of a new business, the startup support that are delivered by the enterprise agencies, and then crucially looking at how we collaborate with younger people around entrepreneurship through Young Enterprise NI. And this program will be targeted at P6 and P7 students. I think it was at the last committee we talked about the jobs fair that we're going to be delivering at the Foyle Arena, which was focused on teenagers. This area is going even younger, looking at P6 and P7. We know that to try to seed to really develop an entrepreneurial culture, you need to seed that at a very young age, and I think this is really, really welcome. So we will have a full program developed, and we'll bring that back to members. That'll be available by the end of January 2022. As I've said, there's still, in relation to potential restrictions, we're providing flexibility in the program to do it both online, but crucially in person. I think it's important to try to get back to that in person to deliver the benefits of the networking and that type of thing. So the financial implications are, there's a total budget of 15,000 that's within our rates allocation, and that covers all the costs of delivery. And the recommendations are that members approve this proposal to deliver Enterprise Week 2022 at that cost.
Okay, thanks for that, Kevin. Alderman Devaney.
Thank you, Chair, for allowing me in. And look, I welcome the report, and thank Kevin for bringing it forward. I would easy enough to propose the recommendation here. I think this is a vital tool in our council area, that you have businesses coming together. You will have that discussion with businesses and entrepreneurs and young people. And I've always said, Chair, that if we're going to deal with the skills issue as we move into the future and out of COVID, it should be starting in the primary schools. And it will be a good measure, talking to the businesses, to find out what skill set is needed there. Maybe look at over the next decade or so to get there. But I do welcome it, and I have no problem in proposing it, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Devaney. Alderman Hussey.
Thank you. Obviously, I can't second that, Chair, but thanks, Kevin, for presenting something that has the potential to be quite exciting and very useful throughout the district. And you'll notice my last phrase, throughout the district. So I would hope that the events will be district-wide in their nature, although I note that the impact of COVID may mean that we can't go to in person, but I would hope that consideration will be given to spreading that. I also note the P6 and P7 students, but I hope within that we're not forgetting the years 12, 13, 14 in our second level schools. And I've noted a greater uptake of business type studies within some of our second level schools. So I would hope that they will be included there. And the final point, a lot of our SMEs and startups are actually in the rural area. So I hope we'll be mindful of that as we move forward. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Farrell.
Thanks, Chair, and thanks, Kevin, for the report. So I'm happy to formally second on behalf of the SDLP, and we obviously welcome plans for Enterprise Week next year. It's a key event in our local business calendar, and it's a fantastic opportunity for new and existing businesses and budding entrepreneurs to grow, develop, and succeed. So I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic event and happy to support, but I've got a question about a company called Aqua Q Analytics. They're an IT firm that recently announced 40 jobs in Derry, and they're hosting an event in the City Hotel on the 18th of November, a sort of information night about the opportunities on offer. And these are going to be well-paid jobs, and it's fantastic that they're coming to this city. So I would ask the officer team, I'm sort of looking at Kevin, it would be good if council could engage with the company and possibly promote the information evening. So.
Okay, thanks. You want to respond to that, Kevin, before I conclude?
No, so that's yeah, the Aqua QR recruiting at the minute, and so we are working with them. We have been working with them for about 6 weeks now. We're developing a marketing campaign. We've been promoting the event at the City Hotel, and we're absolutely delighted to do that type of thing. We would like to do it with more organisations, but for sure, I know that AquaQ have been very proactive in terms of contacting lots of different people around this. They're very keen to ensure that the recruitment goes well. But you'll see across our social media channels over the next couple of weeks a good drive around that. But yeah, good, well-paid jobs and a good sector.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. So the item's been proposed and seconded, but no further indicated speakers and no one spoken against. So again, that passes. That moves us on to agenda item 10, and I think it's Kevin again.
So, members, this is around the call for evidence, the High Street Task Force call for evidence, and it's to get your approval for officers to coordinate a council-wide response to that call for evidence. The executive has formed the High Street Task Force with a view to identifying the challenges and issues that obviously persist within our High Street. The task force itself has said that it recognises that solutions around the ongoing sustainability of our High Street, there isn't a one-size-fits-all approach, so therefore they're obviously going out to consult wider around what the solutions are to deep-rooted challenges that obviously existed prior to COVID, but were probably supercharged around retail and that type of thing, which were probably supercharged as a result of the pandemic. In the paper it details that there's 14 themes that they're consulting again around. I won't go into those. They're within your report. Our intention is to work across the directorates within council to and wider to develop our own response to this. I think it's an important piece of work and one within which we want to basically give our voice. So the recommendation is that Officers, the members give officers approval to draft and submit a council-wide response for the call to evidence. Noting the closing date is the 6th of December.
Okay, Kevin, thanks for that. First indicated speakers, Councillor Lowe.
Thank you, and thank you, Kevin. You certainly have your work cut out for you there. It's quite a big document with what you say, 14 themes. But there's a lot of work already being carried out about what I suppose the answers are, what is needed to revitalise the high street. Its demise, as you rightly said, didn't just happen with COVID. It has been going on now for a good number of years with people's shopping habits, etc., turning online. So we need to be innovative to try and, I suppose, just to revitalise the whole high street offering again. So, but I would like our council's response to hone in that the smaller independent retailers and hospitality sector and all those sectors need to be given as much support as possible to open up and invest in the high street, and that they can sustain their business and create employment in the future. We have opportunities here with the city daily funding, etc., etc. So we need to be, putting that into the call for evidence to highlight that all that funding package does matter, and it will help revitalise our city centre, towns, villages. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Farrell.
Thank you, Chair, and thanks, Kevin, again for the report. So the High Street Task Force was launched by the Executive Office to much fanfare in August last year. The first meeting of this newly convened High Street Task Force was in February this year, 6 months later. 8 months on, we have this call for evidence, seeking Council's views on the challenges and opportunities facing our city centre. So the timeline so far is 14 months to get from a launch to a consultation. I think the urgency displayed so far does not fill me with confidence at all. Our city centre is facing massive, massive challenges. Lots of units are empty. Footfall is dwindling. Internet shopping and out of town shopping is having a devastating effect on our city centre, and urgent action is required. Personally, I'd like to see some sort of pilot in our city centre about a reduced business rates model. I'd like to see improved pedestrian access. I'd like to see public realm and revitalisation schemes and some stimulus package for our nighttime economy. So that's what I would like to see coming out of this. I'm happy to support the proposal. Our council officers are more than qualified to respond to this consultation. But a quick question, apart from this consultation, has the High Street Task Force made contact with this council in the last 14 months? Thank you.
Katie, you want to quickly answer that, Kevin, before we bring in others?
I know that they've done a number of online workshops in relation to the call for evidence. So from my perspective, that's been that's been the opportunity to engage. I can't speak for other council officers who would be maybe involved in regeneration and that type of thing, where the subject area is even more prevalent. But they have done online consultations, and I think what we would like to be able to do is to try to address the themes that they've outlined within this document, and put our ideas down on paper, and around the call for evidence, and we will do that. So that would be my extent in terms of engagement.
Okay, thank you, Kevin. Alderman Hussey.
Thanks for the opportunity. Through you, Chair, can I express my disappointment with Councillor Farrell's remarks? It was city centre, city centre, city centre, city centre. There are other high streets within our council area, and I'd like that to be taken on board. Theme 13 does mention rural settlements, but if I look at all of the other themes, those themes impinge on rural settlements just as much as they do on the city centre. So I'm slightly disappointed with Councillor Farrell in that, but I'll move forward. I'm sceptical of the membership of the task force, and I wonder, how much they understand the nature. And again, I suppose I'm going to do what I've accused Councillor Farrell of doing. I wonder how well they understand the nature of rural settlements, and I'm using the term there, natures, because every single settlement is a distinct identity with its own particular peculiar needs. So it's a tremendous task to take on at a Northern Ireland level. But I have no doubt that there is the ability within our council area to address those themes relative to the various high streets that exist throughout our district council area. And within that, I would trust that the response coming from officers will reflect the needs of the council area and the various settlements throughout it. Not forgetting the city centre. All of our high streets are important, and indeed the issues identified by Councillor Farrell apply just as equally to all of those other settlements and the needs of their various high streets. So trusting that something will come out of this, but I'm sceptical that unless we have a very strong response, and other councils throughout the western part of Northern Ireland have a strong response, we could end up with an eastern focused task force report, and that's the last thing that any of us need in the wider west throughout Northern Ireland. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, Councillor Lowe is indicated to come on again. I will let you in, even though you've spoken already, but if you promise to keep your remarks brief.
Well, I just update, contrary to Councillor Farrell's remarks and the time scale, if the DFI minister announced that there was going to be a road from A to B, you're looking at least 10 years. I'm actually very content with the time scale of where we have got this so far, because it shows, if you look at the document, how much work has been done, how many organisations are involved. And I do know SALAS, if you look at the list of the people involved, SALAS, which is the membership of all local authorities, chief executives, who have also played a role in this, and all the departments across the executive. I'm quite content that we have it now, got a document with 14 things, which key on theme 13 actually addresses the rural issues, so it has not been forgotten about. So going forward, I'm looking forward to seeing all the responses, and I hope that everybody responds in order to help out this situation that has happened over a number of years and that has happened everywhere. I would just like to congratulate the executive on bringing this and doing this piece of work. Thank you.
Okay, surprise. Patricia supports her own party.
Concludes that item. I don't think anyone formally proposed it, so I will propose the item. I'm looking for a seconder here.
And just to say the zone ministers and this too as well. Thank you.
Okay, right. That item is concluded and passed. We move to item 11, and that's 18, I think, on this one.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. So, members, the purpose of this report is to update you on plans for the development of St. Patrick's Day celebrations in 2022. You will be aware that the St. Patrick's Day Spring Carnival in neither 2020 nor 21 did not take place due to COVID restrictions. So the last St. Patrick's Day that we had in the City and District was in March 2019. That included a weekend of family fun, which included the St. Patrick's Day Carnival Parade, street food event, and the Ubuntu Global Festival. The event in recent years has consisted of festival programming that was aimed at encourage a more family-friendly activity, enhance participation across the City and District, and to increase visitor numbers. Central to this has been the development and delivery of community-based carnival programs in partnership with Carnival arts organisations, leading the parade on 17th of March itself. In 2019, this partnership worked well in the city, with the city centre route continuing to prove popular with participants, attendees and businesses. 2019 also saw the delivery of the main St. Patrick's Day celebrations in Strabane town using Butcher Street Car Park, Castle Street and Abercorn Square. But members have asked that the next parade in Strabane revert back to the original route incorporating the Melmount Road. So the theme for the St. Patrick's Day will be worked up over the next few weeks with the Northwest Carnival Initiative, who lead on the development of the parades, and it's likely to be based around rebirth and renewal as we move out of a post-lockdown environment. And a summary of the overall event is in the report, but in the city it's proposed the Spring Carnival Parade will take place on the afternoon of the 17th of March. It aims to feature over 500 participants from throughout the city's neighbourhoods. The carnival, as you know, will be delivered through our service level agreement with Northwest Carnival Initiative, and it will include an open call and targeted engagement programmes aimed at supporting local communities and carnival arts organisations. Members, you should be aware that there was a recent announcement made on the 21st of October for the city to host a major festival for 1 week in mid-March entitled About Us. Details of this are also included in a separate report to this committee for information, but About Us will see the city centre host a large-scale public event that takes audiences on a journey through 13.8 billion years of our history from the Big Bang to the present day. It explores the infinite ways in which we're connected to the universe, the natural world and one another. About Us was created by 59 Productions Collective. It combines live shows and multimedia installations that will transform an area in the city centre into a vast canvas featuring bespoke animations, cutting-edge projection mapping technology, and a new score by composer Nitin Sawi, performed by local choirs. The outdoor installation will incorporate submissions from a UK-wide poetry and computer coding competition for children and young people. Introductions to schools have been supported by the Mayor's Office. Now, About Us will run for a week over St. Patrick's Day, with multimedia installations open throughout the day and multiple free performances every evening. So officers are confident that this event will complement the proposed St. Patrick's Day event planned. The main parade route will not be affected by the festival. However, Guildhall Square and Waterloo Place will be used to showcase this work, but officers are working with the event organisers to ensure that it should complement any activities, and both events together should encourage more visitors into the region. We're exploring at the moment alternatives to the food and craft activity that usually takes place in Guildhall Square, and we will continue to promote the aims and objectives outlined in the food strategy for the region and any offering that's provided. You'll be aware, as I mentioned, the Ubuntu Global Festival normally takes place as part of this event each year. However, officers with the Good Relations team commissioned a review of this event in consultation with the local BAME communities and other relevant stakeholders across the city and district. The recommendation from this report is that the Ubuntu Global Festival should be a standalone event at another time of year. So that will be the subject of a separate report, most likely brought by the Good Relations team to members. But members should note that multicultural activities will still be an integral part of the St. Patrick's Day celebrations. Additional street animation, music and performance will be explored to complement and enhance the festival highlight offering. In Strabane, the festival and events team are aiming to continue to enhance and grow the community organised street carnival parade, which through the recruitment of participants, management and delivery of an 8-week carnival skills development and carnival arts creation programme. This programme will then lead the showcase activity at the St. Patrick's Day parade itself. Organisers have been asked by members to explore the option of reverting back to the original route of the parade, incorporating the Melmount Road. Members had been notified, we made you aware previously that there are additional costs reverting to this route. So a decision has been taken to concentrate on the parade activity within the existing budget. So the festival events team will continue to work with all other council departments, bid groups, and all the relevant stakeholders, in particular local business, and that to promote a full festival programme for Strabane and district based around the highlight events and programming including live music and performers to complement the Carnival parade. From a procurement perspective, all programming and services are procured via annual tenders, and where not, we will be going out to specific call following our procurement guidelines and regulations. The overall budget is 106 with 30,000 allocated specifically to Strabane activity. The costs of reverting back to the original Melmount Road route in Strabane are outlined in the report. And so to cover the existing cost, essentially, of extending the parade route, would see the reduction in town centre activity and a concentration on the parade activity only at that, or specifically activity at that time of the parade. Members, you're recommended that you approve the programming and financial arrangement set out, and that you approve the officers that need to procure programming for the Spring Carnival Parade to support community participation. So procurement exercise will go to tender in the coming weeks, and we're asking that you give the approval to pre-approve the appointment of those on the basis that we'll bring back a report to you, and it'll be recorded in the register of decisions. And again, other smaller items procured by way of existing quotation requests within our existing policy and procedures. So thank you. Happy to take any questions.
Okay, thank you, Aideen. And it's great that plans for the St. Patrick's Day Festival are well advanced. Particularly excited about the About Us programme. I think that sounds like an extremely innovative and exciting series of events that will run alongside it. So I have a number of indicated speakers here. Councillor Jason Blair.
Thank you, Chair, for allowing me in. Just before we get on to the St. Patrick's Day parade, can I commend Aideen and her team for a fantastic Halloween event in Strabane this year, by far the best yet. Have had nothing but praise from people, from messages to people on the streets commending how well it was put on this year. So hats off to Aideen and all the team. Absolutely fantastic. So just two questions now on this report. The first one is at 4.1, the wider rural activity being held and promoted through council's main channels. Has the council any plans? Is it the council holding these events throughout the rural communities like Castledare, Symills, Plumbridge areas, or is this different community groups hosting things, but the council promoting them? And also on 4.4, Aideen, where it states that if with the £30,000 budget and the extra £8,000 for the parade to come back to the Melmount Road, what sort of activity will Strabane lose in the town centre due to that? If you have that information, and then can you come back to me, Chair, after they are answered, please? Thank you.
Okay, you can take these now, Aideen.
Yeah, so happy to confirm. Yeah, so the wider activity, any activity, the main activity that council will deliver is outlined in the report, and any other activity that any groups want are organising in and around that the St. Patrick's Day, we'll include in the wider programme. And your other question was in relation to what will they lose? I think essentially what will probably be curtailed will be the all-day activity. Really, there was activity probably throughout the day, and I think generally the feedback was that people were keen that the parade was the most important thing, and that's what people were coming out for within the sort of time frame of the parade. So we will be able to complement the parade with activity, but it'll just reduce some of the wider stuff that took place during the day. So, and I think from the feedback and general consensus from members of the public and from engagement we have with some of our members, that's probably not going to have a big, it's not going to have a noticeable impact on the overall event.
Councillor Barr, you saying you want it back on there before we move on?
That's great. Aideen just wanted to confirm that, so I'm more than happy for myself and the SDLP to propose this then in that case. Chair, thank you very much.
Okay, Councillor Raymond Barr.
Thank you, Chair, for that. Chair, at the Business and Culture meeting of 10th of September 2018, item BC 119/18, I proposed that the St. Patrick's Day parade and Strabane revert back to the original route, which included the Melmount Road and Bridge Street. The proposal was accepted, and as far as I know, that's what was going to happen well, until COVID hit. But now we're being told that that's going to be, well, was proposed that is reversed again. When I made the proposal, I made it in the back of feedback from local residents of the area and the Strabane public in general, who felt the parade had been downgraded and was only a shadow of former parades. As I stated before, the Melmount Road has 2 nursing homes and 2 sheltered accommodation units. And for the occupants of these units, this was the highlight of the year. Add to that the residents of nearby housing estates who thronged the route along Melmount Road and along Bridge Street. The residents of these nursing homes can't make their way to the town centre to take part in these celebrations. No, I have to agree with that what Alderman Hussey said tonight. I watched the presentation at the start there, and Visit Derry, even the name Visit Derry, is not representative of the whole district. And even from some council members, all we could hear was Derry, Derry, Derry. I take on board the fact that costs have increased. However, if funding can be found for the Jazz Festival and the other events in the city, I can't see why funding can't be found to enhance the Strabane St. Patrick's Day parade. We've already lost the Christmas fair. So I'm going to repeat my proposal of 2019 and propose that the parade stays on the Melmount Road. Thank you.
Point of order.
We were confused with that,
Chair,
because it is returning to the original route, but I'll bring it in and just to respond to your points.
I'm pretty sure just read out a report that said the parade was going back to the Melmount Road as requested by elected members. So I hope that maybe that wasn't clear, but I hope that answers Councillor Barr's query, or Councillor Raymond Barr. That's definitely the intention. So, you know, having taken the feedback on board, that's the plan.
Okay, Councillor Gallagher.
Thank you, Chair, for letting us in. And again, like the previous speakers, I'd like to commend the activities that took place over Halloween. Feedback was very good and very positive. So congratulations all involved. And again, it's my understanding this report has come back to the original route, which I'm pleased to hear. And I would just like to welcome the report. I think that, Aileen, I think that as we move forward in the planning, some of the activities that may have been lost may be picked up by others who might want to develop some activities now that we know that the main parade is taking place, that I think that others might come on board and probably suggest other activities that we could develop along with the community sector. So thank you for the report and very much welcome the report. Cheers.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Logue.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, Aileen. I know it has been proposed, but I just like to welcome this report and second it, and particularly welcome the involvement of the other festival being incorporated, the About Us event being incorporated under the wider programme. I do think that will enhance the offering all round. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Farrell.
Thanks, Chair, and thanks, Aileen, for the report. So it's good to see plans in place for a return of a St. Patrick's Day Carnival in Derry and Melmount Road in Strabane. So it's a key event in our cultural calendar, and it's a fantastic showcase for local talent and creativity. And in particular, it's a fantastic showcase for the Northwest Carnival Initiative and their amazing team. And I'd like to take this opportunity, like numerous other people have earlier, to congratulate Aileen and the team on delivering a fantastic Halloween. And specific thanks to the Northwest Carnival Initiative for the show that they put on in St. Colum's Park. Thought it was absolutely amazing. Went around it a couple of times and I was just amazed by the transformation. And I thought it was the highlight, apart from fireworks, of our Halloween celebration. and I think it should be retained in future years. So the entire week was absolutely fabulous, and I was proud to walk around our city as a dairyman and see the show that we put on. Brilliant.
Okay, and Councillor Sinovar.
Thanks, Chair, and Rory, you're right. It's the best time of winter sometimes, and I think there's always a great buzz in town, and a lot of people really look forward to it. Can I just ask for clarification from officers on the Ubuntu Festival? I accept actually and agree that on the recommendation made to have Ubuntu Festival as a standalone event. But can we get a specific timeline on this?
Okay, do you want to respond?
I don't have that at the moment. I know the Good Relations team are working on it. So I'm sure as soon as that's confirmed, it'll be communicated to members.
Okay, Alderman Guy.
Chair, for letting me in. And first of all, I too want to just say well done to Aileen and Jacqueline and the rest of the team. Very well done, Halloween. I didn't get round at all, but I heard very good reports about that St. Collins Park thing. I only managed to get the town done, but no, very good. Great crowds about as well, and good to see it back again. Just on the pricing for the route change in Strabane for St. Patrick's Day. Does the extra monies for stewarding cover the amount of extra staff? And will the stewards be awarded more money than the normal minimum wage? Thanks, Chair.
Okay, Aileen, do you want to respond to that?
So the extra costs are around the traffic management, primarily because we have to close, I suppose, more roads and we have to steward it. So in the stewarding we have a global stewarding contract across the organisation. So happy to dig out the details, but it would be in line with all of our other procurement policies.
Okay, there's no further indicated
speakers.
Thanks, Aileen. The paper's been proposed and seconded, and no one has spoken against it, so that also passes. So that concludes items for discussion. The next items 12 to 15 are for information. I tend to take them as a block, and if anyone wants to indicate whether they want to speak to any of those papers, please do it now. Okay, Councillor Farrell.
Well, thanks, Chair. I'd like to declare an interest in item 13, which was the climate change grant from the Northern Ireland Museums Council. I'm Council's representative on it. I'm also sat on the Northern Ireland Museums Council's grant committee. So I declared an interest when this decision was made, so just to formalise that. And in terms of item 15, which is about our festival programme for the year ahead, I think it should be an open for decision because it asks us to actually approve this. So that may have been an oversight, but in addition to our normal calendar of events, I think the two items, the About Us event in March and the Our Space, Our Place, which is happening in April or May, are fantastic one-off additions to our calendar, and hopefully it attracts visitors from across the island and further afield. So amazing.
Okay, thank you. Stephen, do you want to respond in terms of where this was on the agenda, or?
Yeah, I think just checking it out, I think it's just the wording of it. It really is just for information. Because all the festivals have been brought through, and at various points, in the two festivals that are one-offs they're not ours as such, so we don't have to approve them, but they are happening within the council area. So it was just to make members aware of the entire programme, because there's quite an extensive programme now from basically from January right through until December of next year. So I say it's more just a wording of it. I think it is more for information.
Okay, Alderman Hussey.
Thank you. Just a quick query. The Northwest Angling Fair, I noticed scheduled for Strabane in April. Where was it held last time? I mean, there was a circulation that I understood had been previously agreed between various sites in the former Strabane area. So where was it actually held the last time?
Pretty sure in 2019 it was in Strabane with outreach activity. The previous year it was Castlederg. So I think the proposal this year, given the restrictions that are likely to be in place, and just it's a much more straightforward event. So I think we'll probably review it following April of this year. Now it will be the subject of a separate report. So like all of them, I suppose that's probably the part of the answer to Councillor Farrell's query. This is largely for information, and the decision in relation to some of those things will come within the next couple of months to members. This is really, I suppose, ourselves just setting out. I suppose the purpose of this report really is to contextualise those two other external events that that are coming to the City District in 2022. But as I say, all of those other events will come before members in terms of a decision. But so it's really open-ended, but that's where it was the last time. It was in Strabane, and we will look at the rotation of it, but it is complex to rotate it, as you know, and it's expensive. So that will be part of the decision that members will take in the coming months as to where it is.
Supplementary, just on that, I welcome the clarification, and I'm glad that the circulatory nature of the angling fair has not been forgotten about. Namely, there were three areas, I think Newton Stewart, Castlederg and Strabane were the three that the fair circulated in, and I hope that that will be kept on the radar. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, members. No one has further indicated in terms of any of those items, so that concludes the matters for open business. Could I get a proposer and a seconder to move on the confidential? Seconded. Okay, that's done. Can we now end the public broadcast?